Okay, what's up everybody? It's Dave the Bicycle Ninja here with my newly um, upgraded vintage Giant Iguana, red and yellow. Sorry if the camera's blurry. I probably scratched the lens. I dropped it. This is take 3. But anyways, if you haven't been following my channel, which few have, just because people think my life doesn't matter, and it may not, it's not going to stop me from documenting it, okay? Because I think it's interesting. Anyways, moving on. So here we are. A couple days ago, I can't remember which day, I should know this, but I don't. I took the Red Giant here into the local bike kitchen where I volunteer. And luckily for me, all the best bike mechanics of the area were there. And I had $20 on me or so, and myself and the director and all the top bike mechanics in the land meticulously went through her, and she was up on the stand the entire day, and I had a few breakdowns. There was almost a fight. There was a lot of difference of opinions between all the great-minded mechanics on how we should dial in this bike, because if you've been following along, ever since I got this beast, I have not been able to dial her in for my frame and my riding style. Which is fast and smooth. That's my riding style, fast and smooth. And the Giant complements that perfectly. I watched a lot of videos about Giant, how they make them. I listened to the CEO, and I've seen the statistics and stuff. And this Giant right here is the best bike I've ever owned or ridden or any of that. It is the only Giant I've ever actually ridden, much less owned. And this one's very rare. It's very old. I believe she's from 1989. She could be born later. I don't know. She's chrome molly. She's got a few little nicks and scrapes here and there, But all in all, she's in tip-top shape. I mean, basically anything. First of all, the good guys that sold her to me, they were good bike mechanics, so she came in good shape. But for me, my personality and my riding style and so forth, I expect a certain level of perfection out of my bicycles. And I'll keep fighting them until I get it how I like it, And this one just fought me non-stop. And that's what I knew I needed a second opinion, because, I consider myself a halfway decent bike mechanic, alright? I'm amateur, and by no means pro. But I know a bunch of pro bike mechanics. Actually, pretty much all the best bike mechanics, pro bike mechanics, I pretty much know. So anyways, I realized that I needed help with her. So that's what I did. I took her to my local bike kitchen where I volunteer. And, I had a budget of like $30. And, because I had volunteered there before and they all knew me, they kind of helped me out as much as they could, and they really went above and beyond on her. And basically, me and this team of mechanics went through and carefully and meticulously, dialed her into the nearest perfection I could possibly imagine for me as the rider. We spent most of the day just tinkering her. We spent a good hour and a half just extracting the strip bolt on the front here. I was not happy with the setup of the front end. I told the boss that it felt like I was going over the bars, so he suggested that I put a longer or widthwise stem that sticks further out, and that's what I got in this one. And it's off another old cool bike, and it fit right up. And then we obviously fixed the cabling issue. Remember how it wanted to flip 90? Yeah, she don't do that no more because we got the cables adjusted to perfection. This is a newer, if not brand new, lever, and we got that all dialed in. Got the ergo grips pretty much dialed in. Now the lead mechanics, you know, he has kind of, I don't know, he prefers his shifters and brake levers to point pretty much straight down at the ground. And because I said that my hands are hurting, my wrists are hurting, he suggested, you know, he kept that in mind. He's such a good mechanic that he actually listened to the rider, you know. And he actually listened to me, and he knew what I was talking about, and he's right, you know, by moving my controls down, moving my ergo wings up a little bit. My hands hurt way less. It feels like my wrist is straighter. It feels like I have more control over the bike, you know, and it feels wonderful. And he's right. So, you know, if you guys are like me and your hands and wrists are hurting when you're riding the bike and stuff, you know, try moving your shifters down, you know, putting your ergo wings up a little bit. That might straighten out your wrist. That's what happened in my case. And now I could probably ride her 100 miles, no problem. Before I'd ride her like 5 miles and my wrist and hands would be in agony. But now she's dialed to perfection and I could ride her probably 100 miles, no problem. So, they went through everything, you know. They went through everything. And, you know, the headset has some issues. So we got the different stem on there. We replaced the strip screw and the entire brake lever because we had to basically cut the old one off because it was stripped so bad. I stripped it, of course, because I'm over Titan Dave. I over tighten everything. And then, so we still got the other one. And then, of course, the pros went through and worked their magic with the cables. I'm terrible with cables and shifters and gears and stuff like that. I'm terrible with that stuff. But luckily, these guys are pro. And right through there. Also, you know, they solved, I don't know if it was the stem or the bars, but they solved the wanting to shift 180 thing that I hated. They solved that problem. We're obviously going zip tieless here because with a proper cable job, you don't need zip ties. Okay, that's fine. And you can see they reworked here. That this stem and handlebars that he picked out are the perfect combination and solved all my problems on the bike. He basically insisted on that stem because he saw me ride and he knows that I'm like, you know, like a long distance max speed and performance type rider. So, and then he wanted to give me, I was like, you know what, let's just turn this thing into a road bike. It's already basically got road geometry. I was like, let's just put some drop stems on there, screw it. I actually wanted rectangle bars. I was like, let's just put some drops on there and say screw it. But he talked me out of that, luckily. And he wanted to put a GT flat bar on there. And I said, boss, we cannot put a GT flat bar on my rare Giant Iguana. And that's like blasphemy, dude. And we finally talked him out of it. And we compromised. I wanted a 3-inch rise, and he wanted a flat bar and no rise. And we compromised on like a 1.5-inch, maybe 2-inch rise. Just a slight little rise. I don't know what bike these bars are off of, but they're perfect for the Iguana. And the Iguana didn't seem to mind. She fought us a little bit, but you know, she knew we were trying to help her, so she basically was being a good girl. And we got through the operation, went well. And then he, for the last hour of the day, we went through and just like tried to true the wheels a little bit, dialed in the brakes a little better. And then I spent the last hour riding the bike out in the parking lot and fitting it with the lead mechanic. And I asked him, he's like, I'm not going to do like a computer fit down to the millimeter or anything like that. And I said, dude, that's fine. I said, bro, I just want you to watch me ride and then make some small adjustments, maybe to the seat angle and stuff. And he's like, oh yeah, I could do that. And I was like, fine. So he watched me ride, and I want him to watch me ride at full speed, but he wanted to watch me ride real slow. And he watched me really slow, and he watched me ride for like half an hour. And then he said, okay. I said, do you have enough data? And he said, yes. And he went and got a tool, and he came back, and he made some adjustments to the seat. As you can see, I outlined it with a Sharpie, so I won't ever forget. But he made some like 4 adjustments to the seat. I'm not sure. And maybe some tilt. And then he messed with the stem a little bit more, and then he asked me to try it again, and he watched me for like 5 seconds, and he said it was perfect, but he didn't have to tell me, because I knew it was perfect when he made that last adjustment, because the bike just came alive, and it just felt like so right. All of a sudden, like, all the fighting and everything was just perfect, and like it was just felt like it was so worth it, and the bike just freaking came to life. And ever since then, the bike, I feel, is like almost at its full potential. Okay, we are going to convert it when these tires wear out. We both decided when these tires wear out, we're going to convert it to 700C rims and tires, like a road bike. And then at that point, I probably will put drop bars on this and get a road bike seat and maybe some clip-on pedals, and basically convert this bike to a complete road bike, which will infuriate the bike, because the bike is a mountain bike, and all it wants to do is go mountain biking and go off jumps and get in dirt and hit trails and stuff. But unfortunately, I'm the captain of this race team, and I need a fast get around town bike. So, and there's not really, there are trails around here, but I'm not really into trail riding anymore, because I'm an older cyclist now. I'm more or less interested in like elite cycling and like trying to win. I'm focusing on training for the Olympics and for the Tour de France. Those are 2 races that I would really, really like to win. And I feel like my body is in a situation now to where I think I could win that.